What's going on, people? Welcome back to the Stayweighedin YouTube channel. I'm joined by my co-host Ray. How you doing?
Listen, man, after crazy night of boxing, we're about to enter a new week of a big event.
And that's what we're here to preview as well. We got Gervonta Davis versus Ryan Garcia, catchweight fight at, I believe, 136. And I'm going to ask you this first question: is this the fight that is saving boxing in the first third of the calendar year?
No, but as a fight, boxing issues way more than any fight can resolve, to be honest. But it's a fight that gets the public looking at boxing again, which is always good. So there's so many people I know that I know for a fact they don't know a lick about Tank or Ryan Garcia. They just know the names. And it was like, I have had random friends just, oh yeah, I'm tuning into this fight, or I've seen this person's highlights before, or I know Ryan Garcia from socials, or I've seen Tank's knockout before. And I think sometimes you just need these superstar fights just to captivate the sport again. And I feel like this is what this is.
Of a younger generation, and they're making the fights, and they're making it without titles on the line or anything. And it's just, for me, showcasing that these fights want to happen, they can be done. And if you're looking at certain other fighters that we're not mentioning, they're just stalling out for no reason. But let's break down the fight itself. Going into it, a lot of people have Tank as the big, overwhelming favorite. Are you siding with them, or does Ryan Garcia deserve a bit more respect going into this?
No, I'm siding with them. From weight class to opponent's face to just experience. And also in the sport of what have you done for me lately, Tank has come out, whether it's his fight against Hector Garcia or against Rowley or against Santa Cruz, a lot of those finishes are fresh in our mind still. And I feel like with Tank, especially in his last fight, what he showed was patience and technique, because I think with Tank, people will look at his knockouts and think he's just a knockout artist, but they don't give him as much credit for his brilliance in the ring and how he takes time to, feel out his opponent. And then he'll give away a round, and then he'll come back with a ferocity that very few can keep up with. And as for Ryan Garcia, his last fight against, I've forgotten the opponent's name, I apologize, his GH brethren as well, was just like, it was a forgettable fight. And then before that, it was Fortuna, forgettable fight. And then before that, it was Luke Campbell, which was, don't get me wrong, that was a big fight, but then it was just like I said, what have you done for me lately? And he hasn't really been doing it.
I was going to say, going into this, it's funny you say it, because a lot of people, when you look at Tank being 28, in terms of his career, has it panned out the way it should have, or should he have achieved a little bit more?
It kind of, it's a bit of both. In an era where people are trying to make stars, I think Golden Boy have obviously done what they needed to do to move him slowly to make him a star. And he's more of a social media star. So I think that's what's been good.
No, sorry, I was on about Tank.
Oh, Tank, sorry.
Yeah.
No, Tank is in a peculiar situation where he is supposed to be fighting for belts now. What they've done with him is very good. To make him such a big star that you don't need belts is very good. However, to make him a bigger star than he is, he needs a belt. As much as, before Mayweather Promotions tried to do the whole thing of Tank doesn't need a belt and there's way too many belts in boxing, which can be argued, but that doesn't defeat the purpose of he needs to become a legitimate champion, because you can't keep on saying the belts mean nothing, but then whenever he gets called out for his fights, they call him champion, even if they're secondary titles. It's hypocritical and contradictory to say, yeah, we don't need belts, but then you call him a champion in either his other weight classes or in his current one with the secondary belts.
And then you kind of touched on Ryan Garcia anyway, but we might as well do that as well. When you look at Garcia being 24, he says some of his last few fights haven't been memorable, but you said you were touching on, I was going to allude on the fact that Golden Boy have done an okay job with him. Where's he currently standing, and what does he have to do to basically put himself, I guess, be taken more seriously?
I think that's putting a good showing, because my prediction for it, and I might be jumping the gun because maybe he was going to ask me this later on, my prediction is more Tank should win, especially with the whole weight draining clause. But the victory in this for Ryan Garcia is if he can get a victory in defeat. And what I mean by that is have a very good showing and then go up to 140, but go up to 140 properly. Don't do this whole thing that he's been doing now of like the whole catch weights where he's just like, oh yeah, I'm going to move to 140. And then, you know, he does a catch weight and it's just like poor performances. Whereas obviously this is going to be maybe his second or third fight with Joe Goose on. So for me, he's at a point where go into the fight, give a good showing yourself, then go to 140, take your time if you need to, build up all the muscle you need to, do it properly. For him, he's got the money and the stardom to do so. And then go to 140 where the belts are scattered at the moment. And yeah, make your mark there.
I was going to say for both fighters, I mean, you look at this fight, what's some of the things that they have to do? Because going into a lot, I know some people will make a lot of this, but personally, I don't. The fact that Tank is significantly the smaller fighter in this fight, but he's been that in, arguably, you could say all of his fights going
he's
into
a short fighter. He's not smaller, if you get what I'm saying. He's a
yeah,
very dense fighter, yeah.
I'd say short but stocky.
Yeah,
if that makes
correct.
So he's got that stocky frame but with that comes the power. Then you look at Ryan Garcia, a lot more taller, leaner,
rangy fighter.
Yeah. What do both guys have to do in terms of their strengths to come out victorious in this fight?
I think, like I alluded to before, Tank likes to do the thing where he gives his opponents a few rounds just so he can fill them out and then see where he can apply his game plan. But I think with Ryan Garcia, you can't give him too many of those, especially with someone who's more rangy. If Garcia's smart, he's just going to keep him at the end of his length, you know, long range shots, whether it's the jab or the straights. And, you know, he keeps on talking about this left hook that he has, that if Tank even comes into his vicinity, he's going to hit him with it. So that'll be Ryan Garcia's best bet. Whereas Tank is, yeah, you know, on the outside, just, you know, make your movements to the inside and then look to catch him. I think it'll be probably with the body shots at first, just to break him down, put money in the bank, as they say. And then in the later rounds, go head hunting and he's going to try to put him out. Put him in the dirt, as Errol would say.
Being that one guy's 28, one guy's 24, and this fight's happening, so in terms of their careers and stuff, how important is it for each guy to win? Like, how career defining is it at this present moment in time for them? But even going down the future as well.
I think it's more important for Tank to win because Tank is the one that's seen as the more of a boxing orientated guy, whereas Garcia is seen as a pretty boy who just boxes. So don't get me wrong, I think Garcia, this is going to be the gut check of, do you want to be a fighter or do you want to be, you know, use the celebrity that you've grown to grow your brand and, you know, get money out of this and bounce. And this is a hard sport. So the fact that you can get big money out of this at his age, if you ain't got a heart for it no more, get your money and bounce. At the same time, I would also like to see the full extent of Ryan Garcia's potential. So like I said, if he loses, you know, take your licks, take your money, go prepare properly to become a full-fledged 140-pounder and fight there. As for Tank, this is a big fight where he brings his stardom to a new level, and hopefully at some point he manages to make a fight between one of the titles holders at 135, because I think for Tank at this point, there's nowhere to run after this, especially with a high-profile fight like this. Who else is there for him to face at 135?
I was going to say, so I remember there was a period where Tank had a lull where it didn't look like he was focused enough for me. He was missing weights. He was going into particular fights where, yeah, like you said, he was a secondary champion or interim champion, but the fight wasn't for the belt for him because he hadn't cut weight and stuff. But there has been that little switch where you see that he's more focused, whether it's going away from Mayweather promotions and doing the independents. There has been that switch, and I'm kind of with you where it's like, okay, 28, some people outside will class you as a champion, but the reality is obviously you've not held the main belts, you've held super belts, so whatever you want to say it. Talking about money, this fight itself, credit where's credit's due. It's part of the DAZN subscription, although if you're buying it new, it's £20, but it gives you the full month as well. Are you surprised that it's, even though it's part of this, it's on DAZN, it's not got its own little pay-per-view fee of like £10 or something?
Nah, only because I think because of the timing, and Tank is a star more in America than he is worldwide. Where it's a weird one is that he still is not box office news in the UK. He's popular, but he's not box office. He's not like, there's going to be a lot of people with eyes watching Tank, but then for a lot of people, it's not a, yo, I'm going to stay up until 3 a.m. watching this. In terms of casuals, that's when you're a box office star. When you got casuals saying, yo, I'm going to stay up until 3 a.m. to watch this, then you know you're a star. Whereas, even though I know a lot of people are tuning in to watch this fight, I don't know whether they're just going to wait until the morning to see, you know, the highlights on socials as people do now, or whether they're going to stay up to watch it. I think the DAZN has measured that and then seen, like, you can't do big pay-per-views like that here at 3 a.m. and think that it's going to, they're not big enough stars globally yet. I think with a win, if he wins this, the way I see things is this: Loma and Devin Haney.
Do you think?
If Devin Haney wins this fight, for me, I would want Devin Haney to go up to 140. If Devin Haney goes up to 140, then belts, you know, get the belts go disperse like Dragon Balls, and then, you know, different belts can get fought for. Now, here's the other thing with Tank, and there's a reason why there's urgency for Tank. Tank has a pending court case as well. So, you know, he might actually go prison after this, which is going to be unfortunate. And let's not touch up on that for too long. If he manages to bust case, then I think that his promotion's got enough power to get him a legitimate belt. And then I'm sure they'll try to build up either him versus Loma or him versus Shakur Stevenson. Because I think for Tank, he's in that weird predicament where he's big for 135, but he's small for the elite at 140. So I think that'll be the best case scenario, is that if Devin wins and then scatters the belt and moves up. But we'll see, because I don't think Devin Haney's gonna face I don't think Tank will face Devin Haney. And I also can't see, we have to wait and see how the court case goes for Tank as well.
Do you know what's interesting? You said that because when that news initially broke, it was always a case of, is this fight going to be in jeopardy for it? Then the way they basically balanced it out, it obviously didn't affect it. One thing you did say, and I kind of agree with you on this one, because of the timings of the fight, it makes no sense to put it on pay-per-view here. However, in America, Showtime pay-per-view, they like this $60 to $80. And you know what? When it comes to that, I'm okay paying the £20.
Yeah,
because I just think
they
I
are
get a full month
suffering out there, boy.
So I guess with that, I'll wrap up by asking you this then. What's your overall prediction in terms of this fight? Like, where do you see it ending? And how do you think it just fully plays out?
I think it'll be a late stoppage. I don't know whether it will be a case of who's he going to go for, because I think we're going to find out on the night, does Ryan Garcia have the minerals, because Tank's going to drag him into deep waters. And, you know, he showed that he's got the heart against Luke Campbell, but, you know, Tank is not Luke Campbell. And also the weight cutting, the rehydration clause, I don't know if Garcia is at a point where this, you know, training camp is more focused on cutting weight than it is on actual fighting. Certain things are going to be, you know, found out on the night, but I'm leaning towards Tank. But I also want to see Garcia have a gut check moment and, you know, go on to do big things at 140.
I'm with you. I'm leaning on Tank as well. But we've seen what happens this week as well when the overwhelming favorite goes into it. And anything's possible in the sport of boxing.
Indeed.
But with that, we are going to wrap up today's episode of the Stayweighedin podcast. If you are enjoying the content, you know what to do. Drop a like, share, subscribe. And as always, guys, let us know your predictions below about the fight as well. But until next time, stay waiting.